And I'm grateful that I'm here with my son. And that's another thing too. I had to just stop thinking about, oh well, you know, I didn't get to push. Okay, well, you here with your son though. Even after the blood clots and the blood transfusion, you're here though. Like, I had to really be grateful, because I'm just like, you're focusing on the wrong thing. Like, hey girl, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be continuing my labor and delivery. I know it's a different setup. I just felt like for this portion of the video, I wanted it to be very intimate, personal. Also, that video I had recorded last year around like June. So me always being in my head, I just felt like when I went back to edit it, I just did not like it. So I wound up deleting the rest of the video, and I only had the first part. So I just said, you know what? Let me just keep the first part of it, and then I'll just record the rest, the second part. Oh, I have my pink cranberry in my wine glass, because child, I'm not gonna be up here crying today. I'm just gonna pick up right where I left off. I believe that I was telling you guys, like, yeah, the part where the doctor, I had told them basically that I had the blood clots, whatever the case is. So now the next morning, the doctor comes in the room with the nurse from, this is the doctor and the nurse from the day that I actually delivered my son. So they come in the room or whatever, they get the monitor, and I think I already went over this, I'm not really sure, I can't remember, but if so, I'll just cut this part out, or maybe I'll just keep it, I don't know. Anyways, they looked on the monitor, they saw that I did have blood clots. There were still more of them, so they were like, okay, well, we have to take them out. So I'm like, okay, whatever, you know, like, okay, not whatever, but I'm scared, but I'm just like, okay. So now she literally takes her hand, let me put down my glass. She takes her hand, and well, so the method that she used to take them out was called, it's manually. So she removed my blood clots manually, which is by hand. When I tell you that's the worst pain that I've ever experienced in my life, like absolutely the worst pain I've ever experienced. There was literally blood all the way up to her elbow. That's how far she went inside of me to pull out the blood clots. So, as like I said, as you can imagine, that is very, very, very painful. I was at that moment, I was just distraught. Like, I was crying and crying and crying, because it was so painful. It didn't even matter about the medication that they gave me for any pain that I was experiencing. That I felt the whole thing. And she said, you know, oh, I won't do, you know, I will never do that again, this and that. But I learned later on that it was okay for her to do that, but at that time it didn't feel like it was okay. I felt like I wasn't being taken care of properly, because I don't know, you know, I didn't know anything about taking them out manually, and I just thought that maybe you're supposed to get something to, like a vacuum or something, and take it out. I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't know what I thought, but I just know that didn't feel right. And then my thing was that even if you did take them out manually, it just was super uncomfortable, and it felt as if there was like no care of how much pain I was in. Like, it was the most uncomfortable thing that I've ever experienced, and it was super, super painful, excruciating pain, to the point where my boyfriend was like, he needed to sit down, because he felt like he was gonna faint. Like, he was like, he just could not even believe like what he was seeing. So that was a lot. And like I said, all of these things are traumatizing, like from the blood clot. First of all, the whole C-section. I did not, as I stated in the last video, I never expected to get a C-section, so it just completely threw me off. Then having the blood clots, having the blood transfusion, everything was just a lot. And then that experience, I was just at that point, it was very traumatizing. So I was just like, you know what? Then there was a nurse that came in, and she cleaned me up and things like that, and that was it for the most part. Like, after that, I did see like little blood clots falling out, but it wasn't anything like I had seen the night before. So now moving forward to when I come home. So you know that if you've given birth, if not, then just to let you guys know, yes, they give you medication when you're in hospital. So they gave me pain medication. So now when I come home, I'm like literally in a daze. Did not even think about my medication that I had to pick up from the pharmacy. My boyfriend, I feel like I didn't hold him accountable or anything, because we were literally so emotional when we left the hospital with our son. Like, I don't even know that was even a thought on his mind. Like, I never even mentioned it to him. I never even brought it up, like, oh, why didn't you this and that, my medication, because we were so emotional. Like, we were literally boo-hoo crying right before we left the hospital, because it just was like, oh my God, like, we're a family, like, this is real. Like, we have a baby, we're taking this baby home, we have to take care of this baby, this is our child. Like, we were just so emotional, and it wasn't sad tears, it was scared and happy tears. Like, we both discussed that. Like, we were very scared, but we were also so happy, and it was just like surreal. So anyways, we get home or whatever. I wasn't in pain that night. It was just a lot going on, but I wanted to take a shower. So when it came time for me to take a shower, like, this is when everything really set in. Like, I could not get in the shower. I could not lift my legs up. I had to literally, let me put my glass down. So let's say this is the side of the tub, right? And this is my foot. I couldn't lift my foot over the tub. I had to literally slide my foot up the tub like this and then put my foot over. My boyfriend had to wash me up. This was just something I was not prepared for in any way, shape, or form. And my very close friend, she had a C-section, but I never thought to ask her about it. Like, when I tell you guys, I literally had no intention on getting a C-section. Like, I just had no intention. There's nothing that I wanted to know about it, because it was like, no, like, I want to push my baby. Like, I just wanted to experience what it felt like to push. I wanted to experience what it felt like to have natural contractions, to push my baby out without medication. And even if I did end up getting an epidural and I was able to push, I just wanted to know what natural contractions felt like. I never felt natural contractions because they gave me something called Pitocin, which I mentioned in a previous video, which is artificial contractions. After that, this whole shower thing, now I tried to get in the bed, could not get in the bed. My bed is high up, and it's not, in my opinion, it's not that high up, but I literally could not lift I was crying, because then that's when I started feeling the pain. I was like, no, like, I was crying like a baby. All of us slept on the couch the first night. Like, I was right here on the chase. My boyfriend was sleeping like the long way up the couch, and my son was literally in my arms. Like, he was literally in my arms while we were sleeping. So yeah, not being able to sleep in my bed, all of that stuff was a lot. So now the next day, the pain is here. Like, the pain is like full on. So I'm like, okay, wait a minute, I need my medicine, I need something. So then we call the pharmacy. Then they're telling me my medication, they can't give me my medication because it's too many pills. The insurance, like, my insurance, they were like not trying to release, like, give me all those pills at one time. It was too many pills. I had to call my doctor, have my doctor change the prescription. It was so many things. Now, I'm just gonna fast forward into, I didn't get my medication until that night. So I came home, right, the day before at about 6 p.m. I did not get my medication until the next day at 8 p.m. So imagine, I literally could not stand up. I was walking hunched over. I was in a lot of pain. I could not laugh. Like, my feet were swollen. I was so swollen. Like, it was just crazy. When I was pregnant, my feet weren't even that swollen. When I gave birth, I was just big. Like, I was so swollen. It was so much fluid. They told me, you gotta walk, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and I tried. I walked, but I was swollen, okay? It took me, I feel like, about maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks to, like, see really a difference in, like, my feet and stuff, because they were so big, and it was just crazy. So this is another thing. I don't know if this happens for everybody, but every time I saw, like, my son and my boyfriend, I would literally I was emotional. I was crying and crying and crying. It was like the most beautiful thing in the world, okay? Because I don't want to just be up here saying everything was negative. No, it was just the most beautiful thing in the world. I was like crying. It was so emotional, because it was just like, oh my gosh. And then I was crying because he was taking care of me, and I was just like, wow, like, it's just us. It's just us, and you're really, like, you're taking care of me. Like, that's it. Like, it's just us. Like, and it was just like, I couldn't help. That was another thing. I could barely help him with my son. And the nurse told us before we left, they was like telling him, like, listen, she cannot do anything. Like, she can't lift anything. Like, she cannot do anything. You have to be there and you have to help her. And he was like, okay, yeah, like I understand. And they were like, do you hear me? Like, she cannot, like, literally. And when we got home, I mean, even in the hospital, he was super helpful. But when we got home, it was just like, he was just doing everything. And I was emotional too, because I felt like I wasn't bonding with my son. Like, it was a lot going on. Like, I would say like the first 2 weeks, it was just, I was an emotional wreck. Okay, an emotional wreck. Now, like I said, when I got my medication that night, I was talking to my mom right before my boyfriend went and had got my medication, and she was telling me, I was telling her how I felt like, I felt weird at home. Like, I felt spaced out. I felt very like, you know, when you watching someone on a movie and they're on drugs and they're just like they're like literally like they're trying to I think it's like when they detox from the drugs. That's how I felt. I was cold. I was spaced out. I felt like anxious. I didn't know what was going, like I felt scatterbrained. Like I just felt like not myself. It did not feel normal. And I'm telling my mom about the medications, and she asked me, and she was like, what was the other one? And I told her, she was like, I would advise you not to take that, because when she had my brother, she also had a C-section, and she was she had got prescribed the same medication. And she was like, I would advise you not to take that because those pills are addicting, this and that. Like, she was telling me how bad it was for her to get off of those pills. When she was telling me like the severity of it, I was like, whoa, okay. And then it started to click. I'm like, this is what I'm feeling. And then when I got them, she said to me, the thing that she said to me was, that's what all of the rappers be addicted to. I'm like, okay. So now he comes home. I think it was it wasn't Tom, it was Motrin. Big Motrins, which I wound up taking the whole thing because I was not messing with those pills. Even my doctor told me, she didn't cancel the prescription, but she still gave them to me, but she told me, do not take them. She told me don't take them. She was like, you don't need to take those anymore, just take the Motrin. Mind you, I wasn't, like, they're giving me those in the hospital. So now when I get the bottle, it says opioid on it. So I'm like, so I've been on opioids, is what you're trying to tell me. Now, this is the thing. I know that they're doctors. This is the stuff that they have to do. They have to, like, they give you whatever medication that they feel is best for your pain level. However, that is, like, and it's crazy because now that I watch other people, like, talk about their situations, even Little Mo, she was talking about experiencing, like, being addicted to opioids when she was on Drink Champs. If you don't know what Drink Champs is, it's a Nori. He's a rapper. I mean, I know a good percentage of the people watching this video know who Noriega is, but he's a rapper and he has a podcast called Drink Champs. It's on Revolt TV, and Little Mo was up there and she was talking about how badly she was addicted to opioids, and it was she had like 5 C-sections. That's why I was feeling like I'm trying to kick drugs. Like, that's why I'm like, oh my God, like, because it was ridiculous the way those things made me feel, and I didn't understand it. I'm like, why do I feel like this? Like, I did not get it, and I'm so happy that my mother told me, because if she didn't tell me, I would have been in here taking those things, and it would have gotten worse, because I had to be on them for about 2 or 3 days, and I think I took them twice a day. So it's like, it was crazy. So that was another thing for me. And just overall, the overall experience. Oh, wait, before I finish that. So, okay. After the whole opioid situation, like I said, I'm taking my Motrin, but now I'm still going to the bathroom now at home, and I'm seeing blood clots. Now I'm panicking. I'm like, oh my God. I'm calling my boyfriend in the bathroom. I'm like, look, this and that. Look at the blood clots. But he's like, as long as they're dark red, you are fine. Remember, they said dark red. If they're bright red, then that's a problem. But they're dark red, that means that they're old and they're just coming out. But I'm literally freaking out, okay? Because I'm just like, nobody could not tell me that I was not dying. Like, I'm telling you, that is, I don't know how people, not me about to cry and I don't even have liquor. Okay, emotional. Yeah, so I don't understand how, like, it's hard, like, just thinking about people who know that they are dying or they could possibly be dying if whatever happens with cancer or any kind of liver something or kidney or whatever it is that you have going on and you know that you're dying. I don't even know how people deal with that on a day-to-day basis, because it was so hard for me. It was so hard for me, and I just thought that I was dying. I was like, oh my God, like, how could I just have a baby and now I'm gonna die? Unreal. And you have to think about too, like, I'm literally, like, seriously, I'm not even being dramatic. Like, you have to think about everything I went through, like the blood clots in the hospital, then a blood transfusion, then the experience of the doctor pulling the blood clots out of me. Like, everything just felt like it was wrong. And my whole pregnancy, I've never seen so many women, black women at that, dying, or heard so many stories until I got pregnant. I swear to you, I kid you not. I never heard so many stories of black women dying from giving birth until I was pregnant. I was terrified. And even the fact that, like, I had spoken to, like, a very close family friend who is a few years younger than me. And I'm telling her, like, she came over, whatever, and I'm telling her, and she just, I don't know if she thought I was over exaggerating. I don't really know what she thought, but I do know that she did tell me other things that was helpful, as far as, like, realizing, like, if I'm going through postpartum, those things, whatever, because she said that when she had her child, like, she experienced postpartum, and she just was telling me that, just the reality of it. But I feel like when I was telling her and I was being emotional about what I was going through, like, she thought it was like a joke. Like, even another time when we actually went out, she was like, oh yeah, cause that your experience, it has you just traumatized, like, as if I was, like, BSing. And I'm just like, what? Like, are you serious? Like, as if I don't have valid reasons to feel the way I feel. Because I was like, no, I'm not having any more kids. Like, what? First of all, what is it with people asking you about having more children as soon as you have a baby? Like, relax. Can I enjoy the one that I have? Can we normalize enjoying the children that we have first before you start talking about having more? Like, because I don't really understand why people do that. I don't get it. It did definitely bother me when she tried to disregard my feelings, but at the same time, I just was like, you know what, whatever, it is what it is. She just doesn't understand, because she was like, oh, I pushed and I did this and I did that. Like, when I tell you, it was so triggering, like, not being able, let me tell you something. The whole experience of giving birth, and however you go into it, it can just be, it could really, like, it messes up your mental sometime. Well, it can mess up your mental. And I say that because, like, I had one person that I was working with at the time. So, some of you already know that I was a flight attendant. So, one of my flight attendant friends, she also was pregnant at the same time. She had her son about 2 weeks after me, the end of February. Now, the girl that I was currently working with when I was doing sugaring, she was pregnant. We were pregnant at the same time. She was supposed to be due, I think, 2 weeks after me also. And she wound up having her son about 2 or 3 days before I had my son. And when I spoke to her, she had to have a blood transfusion also. It was just, I was in shock. I was like, what? Like, what? Like, what? Like, I just didn't get it. I was just like, wow. Like, I was in shock. And she was just distraught. It's a stressful thing. It's very, very stressful. And it doesn't always happen the way you think it's gonna happen. And I did not think any of that was gonna happen. So it was a lot. And, like, it was to the point where when my other friend, the one that was my flight attendant friend, when she called me, she was like, yeah, I didn't even have to, when I got to the hospital, she was like, I didn't even know I had been in labor. Like, basically, like, her son was ready to come out, honey. He was ready to come out as soon as she got to the hospital. Her water broke, and she was already at 9 centimeters when she got to the hospital, and pushed right away, and pushed and didn't have no epidural. And it's like, you have to, like, what I realized too is that we as women have to stop putting pressure on ourselves. It's really not that deep. It's not that deep to say that you gave birth to a baby and you didn't have epidural. It's not that deep to be like, oh yeah, I pushed out my baby and yeah, I didn't get a C-section. Because let me tell you another thing. I heard a lot of stories that also made me feel a certain type of way when it came to getting a C-section, because when I was sugaring, there were women that were telling me how their own mothers made them feel like they weren't enough, that that they're not a mother because they didn't push out a baby. That's insane. That is insane. You risk your life. Either way, you risk your life when you have a child. But when you're having a C-section, that's a major surgery. I didn't even know how serious it was. And that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Like, I did not know what was going on, and I wish I would have done my research. However, I did not. And here we are today, and I'm just here to inform people of the things that can happen. But it's a major, major surgery. Even I was moving around doing things, and my grandmother was like, you need to sit down. You cannot keep on trying to do all of these different things. You just had a major surgery. What are you doing? I didn't want to hear that. Now I'm starting to understand it. Now I see the severity of it. Now I feel like I'm just as good, because it makes you feel less than. Because I mean, nobody in my family was like, oh my God, well, you're not a mother. Nobody said that to me, but this is what I'm hearing from other people. Like, yeah, my mother told me. And this woman that's telling me this had 2 kids. She had twins, and her mother told her, oh, well, yeah, you're not even really a mother because you didn't push out your kids. Like, how dare you? How dare you? It's too much. Like, it was just hearing the things that I was hearing. It just really made me just feel like, yeah, no, I'm definitely not trying to do that. Not that I even ever thought somebody would say that to me, but the world even shames you. Like, the fact that women get shamed for having C-section is absurd to me. What? How are you shaming someone? When my friend had her C-section, I was scared for her. I didn't even know how serious it was, but I was really scared because her daughter came a month early. People make you feel like you're less than when you have a C-section, like you're not good enough. And it's just like, what? I don't even understand what that's about, but it is what it is. And I'm not going to continue to rant about that. And this is my thing. Prepare for a C-section and prepare to do a vaginal birth. Like, don't just be out here like, oh, I'm gonna get a C-section. That's what they said. We scheduled a C-section. Because then you never know. Then you'll be thinking that that's what's happening, and that's not what's happening. And I know a lot of women, though, that are just like, one of my friends, actually, she was like, what? You had a C-section? Oh, my God, girl, yeah, I had a C-section, too. And if I have another baby, I'm gonna have another C-section. Yes, it's just so easy. What was easy about it? Let me know. But that's how she felt. Like, she's okay with it. I'm not. I don't ever want to experience that again. It has nothing to do with because it has nothing to do with because that's not what I wanted, or because I still want to experience what it is to push. Now I don't even care. My thing is that healing process, the recovery is crazy. Like, I don't want to go through that. I never had surgery before in my life, so that was a lot for me. I was trying to work out. When they cleared me to work out, I was trying to work out. I couldn't even do a crunch. My core was so weak. When I was getting up out the bed, I had to literally lift. I had to hold on to the sheet and literally lift my legs up one at a time because I had no core strength. It's like so many things that goes into it. It's just a lot. You're in so much pain. You have to clean it. You don't even want to scrub it because you're scared if it's gonna hurt. You got stitches. You don't want to bust your stitches open. You don't want to have an infection. It's so many things. It's so many things. It's just too much. It was too much for me. So I say all that to say that if you are planning on having a baby, or if you're pregnant at this time, or you know somebody that's planning on having a baby, or are pregnant or they are pregnant at this time, make sure that you're telling them to research both. Don't just be out here like, yeah, I'm finna push, girl, cause honey, I got me some socks that say keep calm and push. I roll my eyes every time I see those socks. I don't even see them no more because I threw them away, but every time I used to see them, I used to be like, oh my God, please. Now I'm okay with it. I'm okay that I had a C-section. I'm not ashamed. I never was ashamed, but it just was hard for me to just mentally process because of the whole experience, if that makes sense. Like, it was never specifically After I gave birth, it was never about me having a C-section. Before, it was like, yeah, I don't want to have that, I don't want to do that, because I want to experience the push, I want to do this, I want to do that. That's what it was at first. But after the fact, I didn't care. I was just like, this is serious. Okay, yeah, it was traumatizing, and I honestly, I feel like I definitely had PTSD from it. I really do. I think I probably still do, but it's not as bad as I was. I'm literally not trying to be dramatic. It's not as bad, but I was literally I could not even tell a story without crying. When I started speaking to my therapist, I thought that I was over it. Child, she asked me how was my labor and delivery, honey. Girl, I bust out crying, and I was like, okay, so we are not finished with this. We're not, okay, we're still coping. We're still trying to deal with this. This is still something. This is still a thing. Okay, cool. All right, now we know. Like, I didn't know. I thought I was okay. I thought I was over it. Like, I started speaking to her in October. I believe, yeah, in October. I had my son in February. And when she asked me how was my labor and delivery, first, it was the river. The river came because I was crying. And I was like, whoa. Like, it caught me off guard because I thought I was fine. I didn't know it was still bothering me. But it was. I don't feel like it does still bother me. I still get emotional about it here and there. But I don't let it. And I really feel, I know that it's just because I literally thought I was going to die. Like, you could not tell me. You literally could not tell me. I've never seen anything like that before in my life. I've never had surgery, like I said, and I've never seen anything like that before in my life. I've never seen blood clots that big before in my life, ever. Out of anybody. I've never been in a traumatic situation like that. Like, I've never been no. So it was a lot for me. But we're moving forward. We're happy, we're blessed to have our child here. And that's it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was informative. And like I said, just if you are a mom or a mom to be, or you know someone, just make sure that you're letting them know, like, the dangers of, like, just being aware of the drugs first, what you're going to be given, and not to, if you can, not to continue them when you get home. If they could give you something else that works just as good. And also just educating yourself on both a vaginal birth and a C-section, because it's not a joke. Like, you need to be prepared, and that was what I lacked, preparation. So I will see you guys in the next one, and thank you for watching.